Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hiker Dave here. How are ya? I got a suggestion from a subscriber. It's getting dark here. I apologize for the lighting, but I'm jumping into it because pretty soon it'll be dark. This is about the land between the lakes. If you guys have ever heard of this, a lot of paranormal stuff going on. It's kind of this is a little Dogman related. So if that's something that you don't feel like listening to, feel free to keep listening because just because. So this is called the land between the lakes. It's a national recreation area between Kentucky and Tennessee. Now this place has a long history, like I said, of paranormal activity and UFOs and ghosts of the Civil War and stuff like that. It's 170,000 acres of untouched land. It has over 300 miles of shoreline and over 100 hundreds of miles of hiking trails. I would love to go there, or maybe not so much after listening to this. So, which is, by the way, plenty of room for a Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Think of that, 170,000 acres. I mean, that's undeveloped land. That's pretty. That's pretty massive, considering I've seen sign of them in small little areas, city little micro forests, as Christopher Noel would say on his channel, Impossible Visits. I like that because it seems to be like that, little small areas. So there's been hundreds of witnesses that have talked about paranormal activity in the land between the lakes. I'm totally unaware of this. I just was made aware of this by a commenter, and I looked into it, and I'm like, this is fascinating stuff to me. It's awesome. There's tons of stories. I just picked a couple because I don't have the battery life in my phone right now to go through all of them. In the summer of 2009, a woman on her way to her parents' house, she had a ball of light that followed her, and the thing would fly towards right at her bumper and then take off in an instant. It was gone far behind her, back and forth. It followed her all the way to her house. And she, when she got home, she was visibly shaken by her parents. Another story oh, by the way, there were other stories that had the same occurrence with the ball of light flying up behind your vehicle, and then next thing you know, it's far behind you, and then back again, and kind of like tormenting you a little bit. For 10 miles, this woman drove, and this happened. Is what this story says. Another story: a couple was camping in an area in the land between the lakes. I believe it was Kentucky in this story, and they were camping near a shore. They had friends with them, and they weren't that far away. They were also near the shore. And that night, the men felt an overwhelming fear. I've had that happen to me, by the way, more than once. I'm going to say like 5 times in 3 years of my hiking. I've been turned around, an overwhelming fear of like dread. Like I should leave. I got to get out of here. And I've had it ruin my entire hike. Just saying. Let's see. So now these people that were down by the river, the friends, felt the overwhelming fear, and one of them knew the story but did not believe in this whole thing at the land between the lakes. But he was panicked enough that he moved. He moved his campsite to another spot that night. His friends, at a later date, he told his friends about this area. Months, or it could have been a year later, I'm not sure, just at a later date. His friends went to the same area and had the same experience, where they felt suddenly overwhelmed with fear, dread, and they as well felt the same while they were camping there. One of them, of the second party that showed up when referenced by their friends, was actually started to cry when he was down there, and they as well moved their campsite. Then, here's another story. The Vampire Hotel. This guy's name was Roger Farrell. He was a murderer. by the by. He claimed that he was a 500-year-old vampire named Vassago. I'm sure he was all right. Anyways, he killed a couple in Florida, and he got life in prison, which you could imagine would be pretty crappy for someone who can live forever. Right? At what point do you let him go? It's like, dude, you're like 200. What do you say? It's the prison food that's keeping me alive. Another story. Ghost of Civil War Army combatants are seen. Angry spirits, ghosts of the Civil War. It is said, if you see a group of white-tailed deer, it is an omen of terror in this area of the land between the lakes. There's a creature known as the beast of the land between the lakes. The sightings go back hundreds of years. It's described like kind of a typical dogman description that we see today or hear firsthand accounts of today. It's very large, between 6 and 8 feet tall. Looks like a wolf. It walks on 2 legs. It's has 5-finger claws, long teeth, a long snout, thick dark hair, and glowing red eyes. Of course, along with a wicked stench like rotting flesh. It also is said to have an unearthly howl. And it says the beast has a taste for human flesh. This area has so many stories. It's kind of like an area near me that's called the Hockomock Swamp or the Bridgewater Triangle. If you ever have an opportunity to Google something that is paranormal, filled with paranormal activity, UFOs, huge snakes, pterodactyls, Bigfoot, an area that I live in is part of the Bridgewater Triangle. You should check it out. This place sounds a lot like it. The beast of the land between the lakes. I went through that. Rotting flesh, an unearthly howl, and the taste for the human flesh thing just scares the heck right out of you. So the Shawnee Indian tribe says it's a spirit of a skinwalker. A shaman of the tribe says even when killed, it will come back in wolf form and able to vow revenge in return as this bloodthirsty beast. Another theory is that the savage bloodthirsty beast, it is what the video I watched continually said that, and I kind of was just writing it down. They believe it to be a predatory cousin of Sasquatch. It often kills more than it can eat. And the French trappers, actually, I had heard that first told tales of this where it started to get around. That they would openly talk of this creature. It would kill their livestock. It would kill huge bison with their throat ripped out, half-eaten. Some French trappers back in the day would go out to get their trap lines and retrieve all their stuff. They would never return. This was something that happened. We all know they could have succumbed to any number of wild animals, hunger, dehydration, but it was kind of the lore back then that these trappers could have fell victim to the beast of the land between the lakes. Again, these French settlers said it would kill their cattle, and it was seen often, and it was on 2 legs, like a 2-legged wolf. More recently, the claims of livestock being killed, it's still happening, actually. Just most recently in Kentucky with the 3 horses that were killed and the 2 dogs, it talks of dogs, cats, horses, pigs being killed and found mauled. One eyewitness recently caught one in his barn around his livestock, and it took off. He says that's his eyewitness account, and his description of what was in his barn is just similar to all the other hundreds of eyewitness descriptions. I mean, who's to say that's not true, right? I mean, I'm not saying it is. Whatever these people are seeing, I'm not saying it's true, but I believe people are seeing something in this clumped up area where so much stuff is going on. you know, everybody's not going to be lying about that. At least that's my opinion. Just like here in the Bridgewater Triangle, so many sightings that date back 100 years, and the Indians, Wampanoag Indians, lived in this area and had long folklore and history about this particular spot. But anyways, back to this really quick. In 1973, a group of students camping, they encountered this beast while a gentleman, while peeing, he fell down and stood up, and there was one over him, and he heard a loud crashing circling around him, and a howl, an unearthly howl, and saw red eyes and got the heck out of there. So he jumps in the van of these students, and they're booking it back to their dorm or wherever the heck they're going to, and it chased the van all the way home. They get back to where they were going. They check the back of the van. There's all kinds of damage, bite marks in the bumper and stuff torn off. Right? That's some crazy stuff if that's really going on. In 1978, the lighting is really bad, and I do apologize for it. But 1978, Jan Thompson. She says her cousin was attacked on a dirt bike. On a return from his dirt bike ride, they heard him flying up to the house. He comes shooting out of the woods. He's flipping out. The dogs are flipping out. The dogs are trying to dig their way out of their pen. He's freaked out, pulling up to them. Says that he was attacked. Something grabbed me and chased me. It still chased me. It's behind me, right? And he pulls up, and his pant leg's all ripped. There's big claw marks in this guy's leg. Big rip marks, blood running down his leg. Oh my God, where was I? All right, I kind of improvised that story, but that's what it says. I wrote that down. Let's see. Okay, so then the beast howled. Oh, the kid said it's on two legs. It ran after me on two legs. So they hear this thing howling from the wood line, and it appears in front of them, or off down the road that he just flew up on two legs, and then it took off in the woods. They ran in the house, locked the doors, and they hid under their beds, right? Hold on. There's more to this story. So it ended up shattering some windows, or something shattered windows, and the aunt came home and showed up at the house, and whatever it was took off and fled. Another story. Hunters don't even hunt in a lot of these areas in the land between the lakes. That'll tell you something when hunters won't even go into the woods. People have found huge like dog leg prints in dens, like a bedding area. There's so much here. I can't even get into it. I'm going to continue this. That's how much I have on this. I'm going to continue this and make a part 2. Thank you so much, guys, for coming by. I'm so sorry about the lighting. My studio is down right now, my production studio. I'll definitely see you on the next one on part 2.